What it is, everybody. Happy Thirsty Thursday, says Pirate Justin in the chat. Big news day. It's one day closer to the end of the world, as usual. Perhaps it's accelerating. Some people are very concerned today. So I'm going to give you the news, as usual. First, I will open with, if you are, this is not today. The stream is only on the big channel. It's not on the old channel anymore. So hopefully people have joined us. We will try to remonetize the channel. It'll just be a little while until I can reapply. In the meantime, you can always support the show by going to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. I'll read your nice messages. And if you're watching on vertical, I've gotten a few comments and you don't want to. Both versions, horizontal and vertical, are broadcast at the same time on the same channel, but YouTube decides which one to shove down your throat. And many of you are getting the vertical one and don't want it. So you'll have to click on my channel, probably, and go to the video with fewer views. That will always be the horizontal video. So we're still testing it out. Well, and eventually we might go live on TikTok, although this software doesn't seem to automatically connect there. So once again, you don't have to watch it in a format that you don't like. You have both choices on the same channel. But for some reason, and most people aren't complaining, just a few, but for some reason, YouTube seems to prioritize these ones that show up in YouTube Shorts, and I get more views on them. So we're sticking with it for now. I noticed a lot of other creators don't do it, like Candace and Jimmy and Tucker, and I don't think they broadcast that way, but it seems to be what YouTube kind of likes, and maybe people like watching that way on their phone. When I play videos, actually, they're going to be even bigger if you watch the horizontal show with your phone in portrait mode. Then this is boring to start the show. I should hook you first. First, Trump threatens Democrat Congress people and senators with execution today, for real. And the markets crashed, scaring the shit out of a bunch of people. I tuned into various streams and people are freaked out. Are you freaked out? Should you sell your 401k right now? You might want to think about it, actually. But I'm not a financial advisor. I haven't always been right. But I was an early proponent of cryptocurrency and told everybody to buy Bitcoin because it's going to be great forever. But I am concerned. And I don't have as much as I used to because I sold most of it higher than where we are today. I think it'll keep going down probably from here, but we'll see. Maybe I'll be wrong. And maybe I'll still be happy if I'm wrong. I don't want to be happy seeing Bitcoin destroyed, but we live in precarious times. So are you worried? Well, I take your commentary. Are you worried? Do you have a bunch of money in stocks? Do you have NVIDIA options? Are you a stock bro? Because I tuned into some of them and they were on edge today. It was pretty dramatic what happened today. Trillions wiped out in financial markets. So we're going to talk about that today. And we'll talk about Trump's threat to Democrats. And we'll play the Democrat video that mentioned the threats. And we will also talk about Israel today. I'll clean up all the videos I have of Israel focused stuff. So we make sure to cover that topic too. We want to talk about Tucker did an interview yesterday with Nikki Haley's son. We're interested in young people right now because there seems to be a generational shift. There seems to be differences between boomers who basically have all the capital and their children who don't. And we have to talk about the appeal of socialism versus capitalism, because those that have benefited from capitalism over their lifetime, and those that have not seen the benefits of capitalism and don't really like it, including Nick Fuentes. So I have some clips from JD Vance did an interview today. I'll play you a little bit of that, see what you think of him. We're thinking of 2026. We're thinking of 2028. We're thinking of Groypers. We're thinking about their impact. We're thinking about Groyper adjacents, and we're thinking about their impact. We're thinking about children in college, especially elite schools where our future leaders come from, like Harvard and Stanford. We learned yesterday that the Stanford Review thinks 25% of freshmen are Groyper or Groyper adjacent, and Groypers are people that follow Fuentes. They don't believe everything he says. They're not necessarily as racially motivated or as women dismissive as their leader, Nick Fuentes. But they have reasons to have their views. And Tucker Carlson, I recommend watching Tucker Carlson's interview with Nikki Haley's son, who's Generation Z. I think he's 24, to get the point of view of someone in that age group who does not see themselves as particularly attached to a party, who definitely does not see themselves as particularly attached to the state of Israel or Jewish people, and also are not convinced that the quote-unquote free market is beneficial to them because they have not seen the benefits. We're going to talk about the end of the world because things are unaffordable. That's the word of the day. Trump doesn't even like to talk about it, but his advisors are telling him he has to. Affordability is the number one topic on everyone's mind. Cost of living. And people have different perceptions about it based on their social class. Some people think prices are going up, even on things where prices are going down. The Trump administration is still talking about eggs. Matt says, thank Joe Biden. Yeah, to some extent, you can thank Joe Biden for inflation, but actually, it goes right back to Trump's administration. Thank COVID, really. The response to COVID. Because basically, what we're about to experience and what we're starting to experience now is what should have happened probably when COVID hit, was that we would experience some kind of deflationary event. But the policies under Donald Trump created inflation in Joe Biden's term, and Joe Biden got the blame for it. So the timing worked out well for Trump to be able to win after Joe Biden oversaw the inflation that was created during the COVID crisis. But actually, Donald Trump was just as much a part of it. And Donald Trump supports policies that actually create more inflation, like 0% interest rates and tariffs. So we're going to have to kind of pop the bubble of people who say it was just Joe Biden, because that's what the Republicans are saying. But it wasn't just Joe Biden. So anyway, thanks for joining the show. I appreciate having you here. And I'll play our intro and then we'll get started, okay? Okay, cue musical intro. Boy, that's brilliant. I do think some things in the world are real. Like you guys. You guys are real. Most of you. Most of my listeners, I think, are not just in my head. I think I have the metrics to prove it. You've taken a leap of faith today. What is that sound? And I apologize if you take offense. I'm a little offended myself. Welcome to our show. Welcome to the future. What it is, joining you live from sunny California. It's a beautiful day today. I'm your host, Nathan Stoltman. And I bring you the news, the real news. Thank you. Once again, you can support the show by going to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil, or you can go to Cash App $LTV411. We have no super chats available. You can also visit our store where we're having a liquidation sale. T-shirts for $10 and $5 that are used to be close to $30 and would be, especially with inflation. Happen to be, we bought most of them 5 years ago or more. So, as of right now, we are planning to close the shop. However, if things go well on this channel, like we're attempting to, you may be able to convince us to keep it open and generate new t-shirts by going to truthclothing.io. I'll show you that screen where we still have cryptocurrency t-shirts, Bitcoin saves, $5, $10, $20 sweatshirt, HODL, $5, Pirate Chain, $5, Crypto Future, $10. And then we have all these Question Everything shirts, which were always our best-selling shirt, all at $10 while they last. But they are actual real shirts that are screen printed where it doesn't fade. And it's on very high quality t-shirt. Different than people who drop ship. These are not drop shipped. These are sitting in a room where they get shipped out to you. That's why we're able to offer them to you for less than it would cost you to print 100 of them per item yourself. They're sold below cost. So you can't do any better than that. Even if you don't like the design, they make good sleeping wear because they're very comfortable and they last a long time. So I recommend that you buy several while we still have your size. Truthclothing.io, which is scrolling across the bottom of the horizontal stream and the top of the vertical stream, the whole show. I want to talk about a few of the comments. Dave Johnson says food is twice as expensive as 3 years ago. I don't think it's twice, but that's how it feels. Real estate has gone up about 50% since 2020 or 2019, before COVID. Cars have gone up maybe 25%. Education has gone up maybe 50%, maybe more. Food has gone up and it hasn't come down under Donald Trump, except for eggs. And I hear bread and butter. But other things have gone up to offset it. Beef is very expensive. And the eggs thing, I mean, that was basically just an illness problem, which was temporary. So Trump can take credit for it, but it's not because of his financial policies. He has enacted no financial policies which would bring down prices. He has enacted financial policies which would raise prices, namely tariffs, which is why, in order to try to lower prices, he's lowering tariffs, admitting that he was lying the whole time when he said tariffs don't raise prices, because it's like it's just it's impossible that they don't, because they make things more expensive. Either the companies lose the money and don't pass it on to the consumer, kind of like Ford did apparently, or they pass along the price to the consumer. And you can see when you buy stuff like toys should be more expensive this year because most of them come from China. And we have a large tariff on China still. So let me know how it goes with your Christmas shopping and stuff. There are some good things on sale, though. I bought something that was on a great sale. This is a good month to buy things. The AI software I bought was cheaper this month. I might buy more. So definitely take advantage this month. Mark Hill says Trump is a huge deficit spender. Yes, he's a real estate guy. He likes debt. We have a debt-based economy. Debt fuels GDP. So he's not opposed to going more into debt. We have $38 trillion in debt right now. And it's going up about at least $2 trillion a year. We pay $1 trillion a year to service the debt. We pay $1 trillion a year to the military. And let me ask Gemini. How much does the U.S. make in tax receipts? 5. Let's see. $2 trillion. And then Medicare, Medicaid. So it looks like we're going to make 5.2 trillion in tax revenue. $1 trillion for the military, $1 trillion for the deficit so far, and that's going up. 1.6 trillion for Medicare, Medicaid. Checking Social Security. 1.55 trillion for Social Security. So that's pretty much the whole budget. Then if we want to spend more money on top of that, we can, because we control the money. Private bankers control the money. They say, Rothschild said, show me a country. If I can control the money supply, I can control the country. They say he said that. I don't know if he really did. But that's pretty much all the money. And then there's all the optional spending, I guess. 3.8 billion in aid to Israel. People are really mad about it, but it's like totally insignificant, as a matter of fact. It doesn't even matter. People hate it and they think it's a big deal, but actually it doesn't even matter. It's a drop in the bucket. If you disseminated 3.8 billion to every American, they wouldn't get much money. I can ask AI to calculate it for me if I want, but so that's the situation we're in right now. Real Hampson says, where's my Trump check? It's never coming. His finance guy already said that. Your Trump check will be if he said, oh, well, you'll get about that much through the big, beautiful bill and the tax cuts, and no tax on tips and no tax on overtime. So hopefully you make tips or overtime and you make enough that it offsets the $2,000 that was promised you from the tariff receipts, which Trump says come from other countries, but in fact are paid by Americans and American businesses. So that's the state of things. Let me show you the price of Bitcoin. Scary out there today. Let's look at Google I always had trouble with the Google Finance. Let's see. Google Finance. Nuckfugget, you're crazy. Yes, everybody can see you. You must have a condition where you feel invisible. All right, let's share this tab and share this tab. So that is a look at different markets. Dow Jones down 0.84% today, 386 points. S&P down 1.56%, 100 points. NASDAQ down 2.15%, 486 points. Russell down 42.78 points, 1.82%. Big moves, relatively speaking, but nothing like what happened to Bitcoin. Let's look at Bitcoin here. Oh, wow. Bitcoin's at 87. Jeez. That's Bitcoin's chart today. 87,274. I hear it's down 40% from its highs. And we are in extreme fear in both the stock market and the cryptocurrency market. Extreme fear, extremely oversold. So you guys have to decide. You guys, as much as I talk about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, most of my audience doesn't have any. Well, I've done polls before. Most of you guys never bought any. You would have done really well, even selling now, if you'd bought some when I was talking about it, which even a year ago still, even last year, it was at one point like 40 something. So you'd actually still be in good shape. The only people who are in bad shape are people who bought in the last 6 months or so, when it was higher than it is today. The one and only one says metals are better than Bitcoin. I'm starting to think maybe silver and gold. Although I had a problem with silver because I had some physical. And when I went to sell it, I really wasn't treated that well. And I called around multiple stores. And one day you have to sell it. And physical, they hit you hard on the spread. So if you want to own gold, which I think I'm going to be doing more, and I've transferred some of my previously cryptocurrency holdings into crypto gold. There is a product called PAX-G, which is a synthetic gold product backed by physical gold, which I think is probably superior to holding the real thing in most instances, in my opinion, because you buy it for the spot price and you sell it for the spot price. With physical, you buy it for a premium over the price, the spot price, and you sell it for a discount below the spot price. So as soon as you buy it, you're in the hole. With PAX-G, that's not true. So God Insu says our government is broke. That's why the Saudis are bailing us out with money. Our government can't ever go broke. That's the amazing thing about being an American. And that's why we've dominated the world for a long time. Because since 1944, we set the standard, we control the world, and we can print the money, and everybody can just take it forever till the dollar crashes. So it is a beautiful thing being an American citizen with the great privilege of transacting in the US dollar, which is the world reserve currency, and still is the best. And we have the most crypto, and in the future, which is going to be digital money, we already have the dominant currency there because most digital money is also, by far, digital money, which will be real no matter what, is mostly US dollar based. So probably that fact keeps us in control. But the dollar could go down in value. It could lose its status as world reserve currency, just like every other dominant country with world reserve currency lost its status eventually. So you should hope that doesn't happen, because then we're really screwed. But the government can't run out of money. That's why buying government debt is always safe, because if they can't pay it back with the gold in their vaults or whatever, they'll just print it and they'll give it to you. It'll be worth less every single time, but at least you'll get it back. Where if you lend money to Argentina or Germany or the UK, you never know for sure that they're going to have the money when it comes due. The US government, guaranteed 100% of the time, because we just print it, which will eventually make it totally valueless, which is why everything's so expensive, because of the evil Fed and the private banks that control our currency creation. We're fucked. But that's why Bitcoin is good. That's why gold is good, because you can't print it out of thin air. That's the idea behind Bitcoin and why it's performed so well. It's because people want something to store their money in that's scarce and desirable, like real estate, like gold, and in the new paradigm of digital assets, like Bitcoin. So probably long term, it's going to be okay. And probably if you buy a little every day, every week, or every month, it's probably not a bad plan still right now. It's probably a good idea, actually. But you could also buy synthetic digital gold and eventually probably digital real estate too. Digital currency is the future. CBDCs in some places will be the future, but I don't think we're going to have CBDCs in America, probably. Starlight Time says, until they discover a planet made of gold. That's true. We could mine gold off of asteroids, or they could find a huge, it's less scarce than Bitcoin, which is scarce mathematically forever, where gold, they can dig up more. Gold actually has inflation because they're always digging more up out of the ground. And the more the price goes up, the more the incentive is to mine deeper holes and find asteroids and stuff like that. And we did synthesize gold too. In the Large Collider, they made gold out of, they did what alchemists have wanted to do forever, and they made gold out of nothing. But it was only for a second, or probably a millisecond, or probably a nanosecond, or something even shorter than that. But it's possible. It happened, apparently. They synthesized gold out of other elements, which is what Isaac Newton and other alchemists wanted to do forever. Alchemy is a wonderful art. You're either trying to synthesize gold or you're trying to find the fountain of youth. I believe that the fountain of youth is possible, so I drink borax salts. So anyway, that's what we're talking about. Global markets melted down. We talked to you a little bit about the reasons. The other reason, like if you want to get really into it, I could talk about the yen carry trade, but it's boring. And I don't want to bore you, but it is a big reason why we could be fucked. But unless you want me to explain it to you, I might not. I've studied it to understand it, but apparently it's $20 trillion that are about to unwind from something that made people money for the last 20 years, which no longer works. So we can blame Japan, basically, for crashing Bitcoin and stocks in this country. Odd420 says, I support ASAPAC, anti-Zionist America PAC. I have that commercial. I'll play it on the show today. Anyway, once again, I don't think enough people listening actually own cryptocurrency to even run a poll on whether you're buying or selling. I'm out. I mean, I'm not totally out, but I feel like I should be. I'm waiting for it to go down further before I start buying in again. But I have a shorter time horizon. I don't necessarily have a 4-year time horizon. If you have a long-term time horizon, then you could buy it right now. But I would recommend buying it dollar cost averaging in, buying some now, some tomorrow, some next week, some next month, and continue doing that forever as long as you have money and have a job and stuff. So I would like to have money, but we have to make this YouTube thing work. Hopefully you guys have seen some of the YouTube shorts. Been making those with artificial intelligence. It's pretty impressive. All right, so that's the financial news for the most part. I was in a Bitcoin chat and I saw someone who literally was talking about suicide. I've been saying that the future is bleak and will make people feel that way when they no longer have a job or a purpose. But financial events, men, jump off buildings and stuff when they lose all their family's money. So I am concerned. I don't want people to feel that way, but I'll tell you what Elon Musk says. That's coming to mind right now. Elon Musk says I'll put it up here. The most likely outcome is that AI and robots make everyone wealthy. In fact, far wealthier than the richest person on earth. By this, I mean that people will have access to everything from medical care that is superhuman to games that are far more fun than what exists today. Oh, great. I always wanted to spend my life playing games. We do need to make sure that AI cares deeply about truth and beauty for this to be the probable future. So this is the guy who's the richest person in the world, who plans to become $1 trillion richer and have control of his robots based on his pay plan, which has been widely cited as being worth $1 trillion, which I don't actually hold against him. And I understand his reasons for it. He mostly just wants to get more Tesla stock allocated to him, which will make him worth $1 trillion. He's not asking for $1 trillion in real money. He's asking for $1 trillion worth of his company total so that he can control it, which, fair enough, actually. He bought Twitter. He's interested in free speech. He's interested in the truth and other things. I don't support him 100%. He also really likes cheap labor and foreign workers more than American workers. And like many tech oligarchs, he wants to control the world, but better him than many others I can think of. Better him than Larry Ellison, who controls our media now. Better him than Jeff Bezos. Better him than Mark Zuckerberg. But they're all fighting for control of the world right freaking now, including the guy from Virgin, all those rich mother effers. They actually, genuinely, what's more important than money? Power. So that's what money really gives you in this current paradigm. But Elon Musk is talking about a paradigm in the future where we're all equal and we're all super rich. But what the fuck does that mean? What does it mean for everybody to be the richest person on the planet? What does it mean if we can have everything we want and not have to work for it? If I propose that that will make people more depressed, more likely to end their lives, am I crazy? Because that's what I truly think. Because it's communism, socialism, whatever you want to call it. Everybody has their needs met by a higher power, which isn't God. Hasn't worked out in the past. I don't believe it'll work out that well in the future unless we really figure shit out. The games better be pretty good. The games better be pretty good and physically demanding. And I believe we might live forever. So it better be enjoyable. I believe that. It's possible. I'm working on it myself. Here's what he said. Let me play that.
But AI and humanoid robots will actually eliminate poverty. And Tesla won't be the only one that makes them. I think Tesla will pioneer this, but there will be many other companies that make humanoid robots. But there is only basically one way to make everyone wealthy, and that is AI and robotics.
And we can't talk about robotics without AI.
Did you hear that?
But AI and humanoid robots will actually eliminate poverty. And Tesla won't be the only one that makes them. I think Tesla will pioneer this, but there will be many other companies that make humanoid robots. But there is only basically one way to make everyone wealthy, and that is AI and robotics.
And we can't talk about robotics without AI.
Okay. Hopefully you heard it. I know it's quiet. Can't do anything about it on my end. So I played it twice so you could listen more closely. So you could put your ear pod further in your ear. Your AirPod, which is giving you cancer, apparently. Or you can turn up your speakers or your television set. But what does it mean if everybody's wealthy? It's a high-level question. Isn't that the same as if everybody's poor? Because don't we just compare ourselves to other people? And truly, don't most people kind of have their needs met? Even if they're poor in America and they just want more than they have? Aren't foreigners happy here with lower salaries because they just don't expect as much? Isn't wealth relative? How will Elon Musk feel if he's not the richest man on earth? What do people strive for? Doesn't it have to be comparative? Don't we have to fight for things? Don't we have to fight for scarce resources to have a purpose in our lives as countries, as human beings? I don't think it's going to feel good. Honestly, that's just my opinion. But it might be true. I believe the cost of things are going to zero. Most things. But there will be certain things that are still scarce, like land, precious metals. The things like robots need to be made out of things. Some of those things you have to mine. We can mine them with robots, but you got to build the robots. Robots will build the robots. That's fine. But you need resources still, which are still scarce as far as we know. And then we have to have wars. We have to. Otherwise, what are we here for? It's fucked up. Human, we have to have wants and desires to be happy, I think, because we have to be sad. We have to struggle. That's what we need. The struggle. If you get rid of the struggle, then nothing's really any fun. So once again, the games better be pretty good. If the games are good enough, maybe. If you have something to do, like pickleball forever, maybe. I'll think about it. I'll think about it. Pickleball forever. Old people are pretty happy doing that. I suggest that's a good game to take up to extend your life, actually. Walking and racket sports apparently are the things that extend your life the most. I'm walking these days, but there's not a good pickleball game nearby. There used to be where I used to live. So if I live closer to a pickleball gathering, perhaps we'll take that up. Pretty good at that. I smash it into women, get yelled at. Don't smash the ball at women. They don't like it. But that's what it takes to win. They just have to get used to it. All right. So that's Elon Musk and money. Here's some more financial news. Hardship withdrawals from 401k due to cost of living increases are at an all-time high per Fidelity. Trump, when he talks about how great the economy is, he talks about the stock market. When people feel rich, they spend more money, even if they haven't cashed in. Yesterday, I was tuned in after NVIDIA earnings to some stock podcast bros. And one of the podcast bros was like, I was going to eat frozen pizza with my family, but now we're going to go out to dinner when NVIDIA pumped like 5% or 3%. I think it pumped like 5% at least last night. And everybody was celebrating. And it said the AI is just getting started. It was like, so that's how people are. When they have more money in the bank, even if they haven't cashed it in, Bitcoin's higher, stocks are higher, they spend more money. Well, it's called the wealth effect. And then when the value of their assets goes down, they spend less. So real estate, that's the last bubble. The last bubble to pop is going to be real estate. And people are going to be really pissed off when their houses go down in value. And the younger generation can finally have their satisfaction and maybe think about buying a house one day. That is if they can find a job, which most of them can. Harvard. So this the elite schools where everybody comes from, who works at Google, Facebook, who runs the government. They come from Stanford, Harvard, Yale, Princeton. Here's an article from the Harvard Crimson, the student newspaper. And it says, Harvard is training us for a world that no longer exists. And in the article is an argument for why elite schools, well, at least Harvard in particular, isn't actually teaching them what they need to know to find work. And the youth unemployment rate is like 10% or something right now. It might lead to revolution. That's what some have predicted. It might lead to pitchforks and torches. I picture people grenading delivery robots, just like they blew up self-driving cars during the LA riots. That's the future I kind of envision, is the backlash against technology, which exacerbates the wealth gap. Because the people that control the technology, yeah, they get richer. The people who own stocks in those companies might get richer, but everybody else suffers unless you give them free money. And nobody actually wants free money. They just think they do. Nobody really does, but they think they do. And Democrats are going to be very popular. And as of right now, they're going to clean up in 2026. So let me play you something from AOC then, to show you how she might be. Apparently, Trump said that AOC is the most politically savvy of all the potential Democrat candidates for 2028. But I don't think she has a chance because she's not that good under pressure and she's not that smart, really. And she's very young. But some people are talking about President AOC. Here's what she's talking about as far as AI goes. Oops, sound is out. I will fix it. Yeah, Trump likes her. She's an astute political animal. I like her too, actually. She's insane, but she's kind of likable. Those big eyes.
So the entire US economy growth can be tracked down to 7 companies and their AI growth specifically. At least 40% of economic growth this year is attributed to these companies alone, and 80% of stock gains this year came from AI companies. But people are justifying these levels of investment because of the promises that the CEOs make that there will be a return on that investment. So for a company like OpenAI, their value is based on the expectation that they're going to figure out how to make a profit out of it. And they haven't. And so generating this increased human dependency that can be mined because it's not subject to HIPAA. Is that correct, Dr. King?
Right, it's not subject
It's
to HIPAA.
not subject to HIPAA. So people's deepest fears, secrets, emotional content, relationships can all be mined for this empty promise that we're getting from these companies to turn a profit. And the reason I bring all of this up is because the exposure of this industry and this investment, I fear, has reached broad levels potentially of the American economy. When we're talking about 40% of stock growth in the United States being attributed to these companies in the AI sector alone, and that sector has not turned a profit, we're talking about a massive economic bubble. And when we've seen depending on the exposure of that bubble, we could see 2008 style threats to economic stability. And that pressure is reflected on the extreme lengths that these companies are going to allow unethical human interactions with these chatbots. I say this because I want to say also on the record that should this bubble pop, and I say this for my colleagues here, should this bubble pop, my colleague from Massachusetts mentioned the level of AI lobbying that occurs here in Congress. Should this bubble pop, we should not be entertaining a bailout. We should not entertain a bailout of these corporations as healthcare is being denied to everyday Americans, as SNAP and food assistance is being denied to everyday Americans, precipitating some of the very mental crises that people are turning to AI chatbots to try to resolve in themselves.
So she actually isn't wrong. Actually, I hadn't even listened to the clip. I'm listening to it for the first time. She's not wrong. And OpenAI is asking for a bailout already. I'll play you that. They're already talking about the government funding them. They already think they're too big to fail. A lot of the stock bros I was listening to are heavily invested in the AI sector because they think it's going to go up forever, which I understand the thinking. They're like, well, eventually the government will just buy it all. So we don't have to worry about people or corporations or profits because the government will think it's that important and they'll spend trillions and that'll save our stocks. That's what they were saying. And the guy that runs OpenAI, Sam Altman, they got a lot of heat because they were like, oh, the government should back our loans. Because OpenAI has committed to spending over $1 trillion over the next period of time. Can't remember, it's 3 years, 10 years. and they make about $20 billion a year right now. But if their profits don't increase at the rate they've been increasing into the foreseeable future, then they're going to die. And I think they will die, actually. That's my opinion about OpenAI, because they're not the best product. They're just the most used product right now. But there's competition from entities which have a lot more capital, like Google. And there's competition from other entities that have a lot more business support, like Anthropic. And Elon's Grok is pretty good, although people don't use it much. And they don't even really think about it, but it's pretty good. And he's spending a lot of money on it. He intends to make it the best, and he'll use it as robots. But OpenAI is a huge thing that really might go out of business. They're already kind of insolvent, kind of like the US government, actually, if we couldn't print our own money. I'll show you what Sam Altman actually had to say about the government. Here's what Sam Altman says. So she's totally not wrong. They should not be bailed out, and the government should not get involved in AI because the private sector has incentive to invest a lot of capital, and they've already shown that they will, and they've already shown that it can be profitable. NVIDIA makes lots of money. Google makes lots of money. Apple makes lots of money. OpenAI, no, they don't make any money. They're way in the hole.
Some level, when something gets sufficiently huge, whether or not they are on paper, the federal government is kind of the insurer of last resort, as we've seen in various financial crises and insurance companies screwing things up. So I guess, given the magnitude of what I expect AI economic impact to look like, sort of, I do think the government ends up as like the insurer of last resort, but I think I mean that in a different way than you mean that, and I don't expect them to actually be like writing the policies in the way that maybe they do for nuclear.
And there's a big difference between the government being the insurer of last resort and the insurer of first resort. Last resort's inevitable, but I'm worried they'll become the insurer of first resort, and that I don't want.
Some level, when something gets sufficiently huge, whether or not they are on paper, the federal government is kind of the insurer of last resort, as we've seen in various financial crises and insurance companies screwing things up. So I guess, given the magnitude of what I expect AI economic impact to look like, sort of, I do think the government ends up as like the insurer of last resort, but
okay, I played it twice to increase the impact of it. But basically, he's planning on being bailed out because he sees it. He knows they've they're out beyond their skis. That's what they say, right? They're a little bit past their skis on this one because they've committed to more than they can possibly recoup unless things go perfect for them. Which, here's the deal. They have lots of subscribers who pay $20 a month, basically. They have the most. Something like 800 million or so. I don't know how many. They have like 800 million active users or something, which is huge. But when you run out of tokens on the free version of ChatGPT, you can just go to Grok or Gemini, and then you can go somewhere else. And when people are unemployed because of the technology which you've created, then they won't have $20 anymore. And actually, the cost of the technology is massively deflationary. So the cost of it is going to zero. So eventually you'll be able to get for free what you're paying $20 a month for. Mostly you can get it for free now. I don't pay for any AI, and I use it all the time now. I mean, I am paying for it for my videos. I have to. I pay for my streaming software, which uses a lot of AI. And I pay now for tokens to create YouTube shorts, which is still way cheaper than if I had to hire somebody. In the past, a human would have to have helped me out. I'm destroying jobs, but I don't make any money. So I'm probably spending more than I'm making. Unfortunately, we're going to try to fix that. We're investing in the future. But the promise of technology is that things get cheaper. That's the promise of technology. But that means these companies might be victims of their own success. What happens when they drive the price down to zero and people don't have to pay anymore for it? I mean, that's what Elon is talking about. A future where stuff is virtually free. But then how do they make money? Elon wants to sell his robots for 20 grand a piece. Well, who's going to buy it if the robot's going to do all the jobs? Corporations can buy it. UPS will buy delivery robots. FedEx, the US Postal Service, DoorDash. They're already buying self-driving cars for Uber, Lyft. That's happening very fast. But then where does the money come from? We'll have to figure it out. So anyway, he thinks he's going to get bailed out by the government. What do you think? This is an interesting poll. I've been following this guy from Rasmussen. He's very interesting on Twitter. He says that based on his polling that Christians under 40 are far more likely than atheists under 40 to want to give control of the government and military to an advanced artificial intelligence. So that's what young people are thinking about. And theoretically, it would make things a lot cheaper. If we could run Medicare with no humans, then we can reduce the cost of it. That's good. As long as people think reducing government spending is good, that's good. If we run Medicare, Medicaid without human beings, paper pushers, if we run the IRS without human beings, it save money for the government. That's good. The military, if we run that on AI and drastically reduce the cost, you could argue that that's good. Once again, human beings become inconsequential, but okay, those are my thoughts on the economy. Look at the chat for a second. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Once again, if you want to support the show because super chats, because I have harmful content on this channel, go to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. I'll read the post at the end of the show. Sorry you have to go somewhere else, but I really appreciate it. I need coffee and cookies to do my show every day, and I really can't afford them. So if you can help me out, help me make like at least $20 a show, then I might be able to keep living and doing the show. I'll still stay alive regardless, but I need coffee and cookies, and they're expensive. So please help me out. Okay, I appreciate it. I need to feel like I'm doing something valuable with my time. All right, I'm looking at the chat. Mark Bogg says there are more than 800 million weekly active users of ChatGPT, 5% pay. Apparently they're making 20 billion revenue right now. But all right, so that's the economic talk for today. Hopefully you guys are doing okay. This is a doomsday show. It always has been. The doomsday though is closer. It's getting closer and closer. I have Actually, as far as economy goes, a few things. Actually, a good thing the Trump administration has apparently done for jobs. The jobs report came out for December and it beat massively. So that was good news. But I don't believe the numbers anyway, because he fired the person in charge because he didn't like the numbers before. And they always get revised down. And they revised down August. We lost jobs in August. But apparently they created 120,000 jobs in September, which was way more than anybody expected. But all that did is convince the Fed not to lower rates anymore, which, since the economy runs on fake bubble debt, people don't even like good economic numbers if they're invested in things like Bitcoin or stocks. They actually want bad numbers. Like, bad employment numbers are good for stocks and Bitcoin, believe it or not. That's how you know it's all fake. Bad news is good news. Bad news for humans is good news for investors. That's the way it's been for the last year. So AOC is kind of right a little bit. Bad news for humans is good news for investors. Remember that. Because it makes companies' costs go down the more they use AI instead of humans, and they make more profit, and the companies become more valuable. The more people they fire, the better it is for them. Companies are looking for ways to fire more people, believe it or not. That's probably their primary objective right now, is to reduce headcount if they can do it and have the same output. Unfortunately. And the more they do that, the more money the more they expect their stock price to go up. So it's like business. No wonder people don't like capitalism, because it doesn't care about the people who work for them. It's not working for them. Actually, Henry Ford did, basically. The famous anti-Semite, Henry Ford. He did care about his workers. He paid them more than anybody so he could retain them, $5 a day, which was a lot, actually, more than anybody makes now on minimum wage. Way more. You could feed your family. You could have a car and a house and children in the backyard. We did not get what we were promised, basically. Minimum wage, great. It's still less. California at $16, a dollar was worth more in 1960s. Minimum wage could be $1 and be worth more than whatever minimum wage they have. New York City, it's like $20. Still less than before we had minimum wage. Doesn't matter. Okay, I have video of JD Vance talking about the economy. Let me see if I can find it. You see what you think of JD Vance. Yeah, you can see how he's let's see. Okay. It was at, I hope I remember. I think it was 5 minutes in. Let's see. I think, yeah, here we go. So listen to what he said about the economy. See if you agree. The economy. Here we go.
Enacted. What's your message to those out there who feel like they haven't seen that gain?
Yeah, well, first, Matt, the government shutdown didn't help, to be clear. And I do think that actually pumped the brakes a little bit on all the great economic news that we were seeing. And look, the Democrats, our attitude was, why are the Democrats doing this? They're the party of government. Why are they shutting down the government? For 10 years, they said to shut down the government is an act of economic terrorism on the United States. And it's sort of a question that answers itself, because I think that they were so worried about what the Trump administration is doing that they were willing to blow the whole thing up, hold a gun to the head of the American economy in order to get what they want. And that's going to cause a little bit of damage, but I think it'll be ultimately very, very minor, because we were able to get the shutdown wrapped up. And I guess my message to the American people who are still feeling like things are unaffordable, who are still feeling like things are rough out there is look, we get it. And we hear you, and we know that there's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of wood to chop, because the Biden administration put us in such a very, very tough spot. And the way that I think about this is it's always helpful to take this from the abstractions to the actual real things that people are worried about. So take, for example, a dozen eggs. I'll never forget this. It was one of the very first, maybe the single first press conference that the president had done since he had started his second term. And some reporter, probably from ABC, yells at him and says, "What have you done about the price of eggs? The price of eggs are up 300% over the past 3 years." And it's like, it was January the 23rd. It's like, what do you mean, what have we done in 2 days? It's going to take a little bit of time to fix that problem. And so if you're an American who's just struggling to get by, you work hard, you pay your taxes, you want your kids to have good opportunities, and the price of eggs goes from $2 a dozen to $8 a dozen under the Biden administration, and then under the Trump administration, it goes from $8 a dozen to maybe $6.50 a dozen. Well, to you, that is still a major problem. And even though we've made incredible progress, we understand that there's a lot more work to do. And the thing that I'd ask for the American people is a little bit of patience. This economy was not harmed in 10 months. It took a deliberate 4-year administration that was making life harder for everyday Americans, that was importing foreign workers instead of giving jobs to American workers, that was overregulating, overtaxing, overspending. They were doing everything wrong. And as much progress as we've made, it's going to take a little bit of time for every American to feel that economic boom, which we really do believe is coming. We believe that we're on the front end of it, but we also recognize that we've got a lot of work to do to undo the damage that Joe Biden did to the American economy. And the last one I'll say, Matt, is let's be honest, it's not just Joe Biden. As much as I think Joe Biden was one of the most disastrous presidents of American history, we had a policy in this country for 40 years of shipping American jobs overseas and hiring foreign workers instead of American workers. That has caused the economic stagnation of the American middle class. There was one bright spot in 40 years, and that was the first Trump administration. And there is going to be a massive exception to that 40-year trajectory of American decline. And that's the second Trump administration. We just got to keep it going.
Right. So now,
So that's his message. And actually, there was big news. It was reported in Zero Hedge today, a positive thing from the Trump administration. So I'm going to tell you that. We're not biased here. We report all the news. I'll get back to you, Mark Boggs. 1 second. I see you. Here's the headline from Zero Hedge. Native-born workers rise by 2 million under Trump to a new record high, as foreign-born plunge by 1.6 million. So if you remember, during the Biden administration, there was no job growth for native-born American workers. The only job growth was for foreign workers, which was bad. So as far as there being fewer jobs kind of this year, while some of that you can attribute to kicking people out of the country, people not wanting to show up on a construction yard because they're going to get deported, people not wanting to show up to pick grapes because they think they're going to be deported, and so forth. So it was some illegal, some legal is down all this year, apparently, according to real numbers. And native-born work is up. So that's a good thing. Even if we're losing jobs, if actually more Americans are getting jobs and more foreigners are losing jobs, I consider that a win for the Trump campaign. So just want to make sure I'm not only reporting negative things about Donald Trump. That's a positive thing. the $100,000 fee on H-1Bs is actually probably a positive thing. As much as Trump says he supports H-1Bs for a particular reason, the $100,000 is going to make it so they stop bringing in people to do entry-level jobs like they have been. So that's not a bad policy either, to slow down all the Indians basically coming here taking American jobs. So Mark Boggs, you have an interesting opinion, which is counter to the common opinion. And you said you wanted to talk to me about it. So I will invite you on the show if you want to give me your argument. Mark Boggs, longtime listener, supporter of the show, and mod in the chat, says the AI hype bubble is bursting as investors realize that actually AI is not going to take everyone's job after all. So I'll hear out your argument. You can explain what you mean by everyone's, because sure, for a little while, it won't take everyone's job, but we've had the most layoffs this year that we've had in a long time. About 1 million people have been laid off. Amazon announced that they're going robotic, and that means they won't have to hire 650,000 people over the next period of time. Self-driving cars are certainly going to eliminate jobs for people who drive for Uber and Lyft. Paralegals, consultants, lots of white collar work. So you can make your argument. I'm not sure what it is, but just in my work here podcasting, AI is taking people's jobs because it's cheap. It does it cheaper than the human beings I would have to hire would do it for. I can't make YouTube shorts. AI can do it. It's on sale this month, so it's about $4 for every 2 hours, but actually it's going to go up in price. But it would probably cost me $100 or more for somebody to do the same work. So that's taking somebody's job. My streaming software, I do everything myself instead of needing assistance like everybody else does. And that's because of technology and artificial intelligence, mostly. But if you want to join the show, just let me know. We can have a segment on it. Sure, Mark Boggs. I will put together some key points and bring it to you. Lots of people agree with me. I will collect some data. Okay, that's fine. That's cool. Yeah, there are different opinions. Some people say it'll create more jobs, but like King Ravana says, people don't trust a robot driver. Well, thus far, it's not cheaper yet, but in the future, it'll be cheaper than a human. That's the promise of it. You don't have to tip. That's the first thing, but in the future, it'll be cheaper than a human. That's what the promise is. Costs will go down. And then people have a choice, but actually a lot of people prefer having a robot because they don't want a smelly Uber driver who they have to talk to. A lot of people prefer it so far. And over time, more and more people will. It's just safer. That's all. What are you going to do? When a robot drives better than a human, 100% of the time. Sorry, I won't say 100%. 99% of the time. What are you going to do? When people have the choice to drive themselves and pay a lot more for insurance because they're fallible and robots aren't, people are going to choose to have robots. Maybe it's my opinion, but it'll be cheaper. You won't have to own a car. You'll own nothing and be happy. It'll clear up parking, clear up the roads, clear up parking at least. When it's all robots out there, and nobody will ever crash, and people won't die in car accidents. unless they're driving a Tesla, whose self-driving kind of sucks because he doesn't use LiDAR. So far. But eliminate all the, like Google's self-driving, no one's ever died and it hardly ever crashes. And it's always somebody else's fault when it does have. It's always a human's fault when they crash. So insurance would be, you don't need insurance anymore. I mean, you don't know. I know what I pay for car insurance. It's so stupid. So stupid. I got the stupid car that I drive right now. People have them as like, people have old cars just for the feeling of it, just to be able to say, you know, to have fun on a Sunday and stuff. But Real Hampson says, more people take Waymo than Uber in Phoenix. I see them every day. So that's wrong. Yeah, I mean, when people have the choice, they actually choose the robot, even if it's a little more expensive. Maybe a little bit for the novelty. But people actually prefer being alone, kind of. A lot of people, apparently. I like talking to a driver, but pilots, eventually, truck drivers. I mean, you can't, there isn't a profession I can think of. There aren't many professions I can think of. The only professions I can think of are like kind of in service and hospitality. Like in service and hospitality, probably people will still like that human touch. Like when you check into a hotel, when you probably to like deliver your food and stuff, take an order from you. Although there are lots of restaurants that have digital ordering now too, and people don't seem to mind, especially fast food. So fast food, they've eliminated jobs. They hardly have any cashiers. Nobody goes to the cashier anymore. So I'm be interested in your argument, Mark Boggs. It's going to be very hard to convince me because it's already happening in so many industries that we can see with our eyes. So you'll have to tell me, you basically have to convince me that new jobs are being created, which I don't see. So Alexander James, doing good. Thanks for saying the beard looks good. Thank you. It's grayer though. Thank you. Thanks for not mentioning my hairline. Real Hampson says they'll get rid of parking lots so they can increase urban housing density. Yeah, that's actually a good thing though, because mostly cars just are parked doing nothing all day. It's actually like an efficiency question. Mostly cars aren't doing anything all day, so we have to have all this parking. If you didn't need that, that would be good. I mean, I think then you could have walkway. Well, yeah, you have wider sidewalks, theoretically, because you wouldn't need people parking on the curb and stuff. You wouldn't need big parking garages. They still have cashiers at In-N-Out. In-N-Out's a good place, good Christian organization, but we'll see. There might be some backlash. Then people might demand humans. We'll see. You want to talk about the execution threat from Donald Trump? I'll play that. And then we have to talk about Israel a little bit, I think. Let me regroup. All right. So Trump threatened, I think this is what my AI thumbnail says. The threat is real, I think it says. I used AI to create that. I'm trying to work with AI to help me build my channel. So I consult it for title choices and descriptions and thumbnails. They say you're supposed to have your face on the thumbnail, which I never really like doing because I think it's kind of gay. But that's what they said you're supposed to do. So may have to do that from now on. I could go over the conversation I had where it screwed up over and over and over again. Gemini, like, just refused to make a 16:9 image for me for some reason. I was totally, then just apologizes like an idiot. All right, here's what Democrats did that Trump said he was going to kill him over. So just so you know, the president actually threatened to kill these people today.
I'm Senator Alyssa Slotkin.
Senator Mark Kelly.
Representative Chris DeLuzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow. I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy.
Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
and the intelligence community
who take risks each day to keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
and intelligence community professionals
against American citizens.
Like us. You all swore an oath
to protect and defend this Constitution.
Right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad, but from right here at home.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law
or our Constitution.
We know this is hard and that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
the Army,
or Navy,
the Air Force,
your vigilance is critical.
And know that we have your back.
Because now, more than ever,
the American people need you.
We need you to stand up for our laws,
our Constitution,
and who we are as Americans. Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
Unlike some ads from Democrats, that one's at least pretty well made. And Trump said they should be killed. So I'll show you that. And the press secretary denied it. I should say that. I can play where she denied it. But here's what it says about that video. Seditious behavior punishable by death. So that's our president. I don't know for sure what they're talking about. If I had to speculate, I would say like they're not, unless you revoke habeas corpus, you're not allowed to perform law enforcement duties in the borders of the United States if you're in the armed forces. Maybe that's what they're talking about, which Trump always threatens all the time, but I'm not sure if he's done that yet. It is, according to the Constitution, the Army is not allowed to like do law enforcement stuff within our borders to American citizens, unless you suspend habeas corpus. I believe that's the way it works. So I don't know if that's specifically what they're talking about or not. Could be. But regardless, I'll play you where the press secretary had to deny that he meant he was going to kill U.S. congresspeople. I'll play that since I listened to it. Here it is. Okay, we have sound.
This morning, President Trump accused 6 Democratic lawmakers of seditious behavior punishable by death. Just to be clear, does the president want to execute members of Congress?
No. Let's be clear about what the president is responding to, because many in this room want to talk about the president's response, but not what brought the president to responding in this way. You have sitting members of the United States Congress who conspired together to orchestrate a video message to members of the United States military, to active duty service members, to members of the national security apparatus, encouraging them to defy the president's lawful orders. The sanctity of our military rests on the chain of command. And if that chain of command is broken, it can lead to people getting killed. It can lead to chaos. And that's what these members of Congress who swore an oath to abide by the Constitution are essentially encouraging. We have 1.3 active duty service members in this country. And if they hear this radical message from sitting members of Congress, that could inspire chaos and it could incite violence and it certainly could disrupt the chain of command. These 3 members of Congress, I will also add, knew exactly what they were doing. You look at Alyssa Slotkin. She's a former member of the CIA. Mark Kelly was a captain in the U.S. Navy. Maggie Goodlander was a naval officer. And notably, she is also the wife of Joe Biden's national security former advisor, Jake Sullivan. And so these members knew what they were doing. They were leading into their credentials as former members of our military, as veterans, as former members of the national security apparatus to signal to people serving under this commander-in-chief, Donald Trump, that you can defy him and you can betray your oath of office. That is a very, very dangerous message, and it perhaps is punishable by law. I'm not a lawyer. I'll leave that to the Department of Justice and the Department of War to decide.
But the president has
Chris,
frequently, but Caroline, can I just follow up? The president and the vice president, for that matter, have accused the other side of encouraging political violence. Isn't that exactly what the president is doing when he says that members of Congress should be killed?
Why aren't you talking about what these members of Congress are doing to encourage and incite violence? They are literally saying to 1.3 million active duty service members not to defy the chain of command, not to follow lawful orders.
Actually,
Every single
can refuse an illegal order, which
but
is
they're suggesting, Nancy, that the president has given illegal orders, which he has not. Every single order that is given to this United States military by this commander-in-chief and through this chain of command, through the Secretary of War, is lawful. And the courts have proven that. This administration has an unparalleled record at the Supreme Court because we are following the laws. We don't defy court orders. We do things by the books. And to suggest and encourage that active duty service members defy the chain of command is a very dangerous thing for sitting members of Congress to do. And they should be held accountable. And that's what the president wants to see. Phil.
So there you go. The reporter followed up well. Illegal orders. And maybe it is, somebody mentioned posse comitatus. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's not habeas corpus. I don't know. I don't know my Latin military phrases 100%. Maybe it's posse comitatus. Where, anyway, it's according to the Constitution, it's illegal to do law enforcement activities as a member of the military. So even the National Guard and stuff, like they're not allowed to use deadly force, certainly, the way police officers are. So that's why it becomes controversial when they're even carrying weapons and seemingly arresting people. So I'm not sure what they're talking about. They did say specifically illegal orders. I'm not sure why. So I can't comment on that. But I don't think what they did was actually seditious because they said illegal orders. They didn't say don't follow lawful orders. So to say they should die is probably a little extreme, in my opinion. That's just my opinion as a simple, humble podcaster, though. But that's in the news today. The threat is real, says the thumbnail. Also, since swastika is trending, apparently the at least a branch of the armed forces has said that swastikas and one other item are not going to be considered hate speech anymore as of the middle of December. Let me see if I can give you the real story. Swastika. Oh, okay. Somebody says it's a fake news scandal. The U.S. Coast Guard passed a policy in favor of the swastika Confederate flag. Oh, yeah, nooses, right. Apparently the Washington Post reported it. That's what the Washington Post reported. I'll read it to you. It says, exclusive, the U.S. Coast Guard will no longer classify the swastika, nooses, and the Confederate flag as hate symbols. The military service drafted a new policy that classifies them as potentially divisive rather than hate symbols. There's a person that says that's fake news, but that is the news as reported by the Washington Post, which is interesting. Swastika is a nice symbol. The Nazis swastika is like an ancient symbol that primarily was used to promote like peace and harmony. It was used by Jainism. It's like a palm with a swastika on it. And like the Nazis were into kind of like ancient stuff. So they used the symbol. I had a video banned in Germany because I showed, like, after Trump got elected, somebody spray painted swastikas in my neighborhood. And I don't even think we had that many Jews around. It might have been some kind of psyop. I don't even know. But the video got banned in Germany. In Germany, it's literally illegal, just like questioning the Holocaust, to actually even show an image of a swastika. Like I was just reporting on the news. It all happened in my neighborhood, literally. People came and spray painted swastikas for some reason. And actually, it was totally banned because they don't have free speech in Germany, especially when it comes to the war. Here is Chris Murphy talking about the call for execution.
The President of the United States just called for members of Congress to be executed. If you are a person of influence in this country, maybe it's time to pick a fucking side. If you are a Republican in Congress, if you are a Republican governor, maybe it's time to draw a line in the sand and say that under no circumstances should the President of the United States be calling on his political opposition to be hanged. The President of the United
States. I'm kind of like not on board with the cursing that has become part of politics. I know Trump does it, and sometimes he does it in an effective way. Like when he said about Israel and Palestine that neither side knew what the fuck they were doing. That was kind of effective. But when you put it in your video and stuff, it's kind of, I don't know if we should be normalizing it so much. And besides, it might get my video demonetized, sir. Don't you care about my YouTube? No, I'm already demonetized. They'll never monetize one of my videos. Even if they monetize my channel. Fartcoin is trending. Fartcoin made a lot of money for people. Wonder how it's doing. Maybe I'll look into Fartcoin. Let's see what the news is on Fartcoin. I had a speaking of bad words, I invested in a cryptocurrency called Fat Nigga Season, thinking it would blow up, but I was wrong. I lost a lot of money on it. But to be fair, I was insane at the time. Fartcoin surges 14%. Tops crypto gains amid meme coin buzz. Interesting. Wonder how Fat Nigga Season is doing. Well, there you go. Some cryptocurrencies are bouncing. All right. You want to talk about Israel? Oh, let's talk about Charlie Kirk. You know, I wish, to some extent, that I was a real conspiracy theorist still more than I am. because I would then be blasting out videos about Charlie Kirk all the time and get 1 million views like Candace Owens. But honestly, I tuned into Candace Owens. I don't know what she's talking about. It's kind of boring to me. The Egyptian flights is the latest thing. I just don't know. I just don't know, to be honest. I'm willing to say I don't know, and there's like lots of questionable stuff going on. But in any case, this is the latest news about it, which Candace was saying was a big deal, which is that they don't have footage of the prime suspect, the only suspect, turning himself into the police department. So this is what people are talking about.
Rudy Bautista is a Rule 8 attorney, qualifications only select number of defense attorneys in Utah have in order to defend cases with a capital offense, some involving a possible death penalty. He's not affiliated with the case involving Tyler Robinson, who's accused of shooting and killing Charlie Kirk back in September. I showed him what I found that could indicate there's potential missing evidence in the case.
He said, "Hey, I know who Charlie Kirk shooter is."
On September 17th, 2025, Washington County Sheriff Nate Brooksby held a press conference.
Our job was not to interview. Our job was just to get him here.
After Charlie Kirk's alleged shooter was taken into custody in Washington County less than 2 days after the shooting.
Within the hour, my friend drove Tyler and his parents to my office, where he was greeted by plainclothes detectives.
After learning of this, I submitted a public records request to obtain any video of Tyler Robinson walking into the jail facility. Washington County responded saying there were no records responsive to the request, as Robinson did not go to the jail area. Our request for any holding room video was denied. A few weeks later, I re-upped the request on a more generalized scale for surveillance video showing Tyler Robinson walking into the sheriff's office.
For the state of Utah, we would certainly hope that this video is available.
The response? Our office does not have any applicable records responsive to this request, as the surveillance footage is no longer available after the 30-day retention period.
If in fact it has been destroyed and not preserved, it's very concerning. And if it has, then it's very concerning that they're telling you they don't have it. If they no longer have it, I would have expected to say that this video has been provided to the Utah County law enforcement. Please contact them.
Don't know what that means. There are a lot of people attacking Candace, but those people aren't popular. Like, people don't like people attacking Candace, so I'm not going to attack her. Don't know what that means. We saw him in court. The cameras are out. So what do people think? It didn't happen? He was in court. Saw Steven Crowder attacking her. Lots of people attack her. She's a little kooky. But I'm not going to get into it. You want to talk about Israel? Let's close with Israel news. I'd like to get enough people tuned in that we can start taking phone calls again. Hopefully we'll keep building. Hopefully YouTube Shorts will work out. We'll bring some people to the channel. We like taking phone calls. There's Epstein news too. Larry Summers was asked to step down from his classes at Harvard. So his life has been ruined by being in the Epstein files. So that's the first casualty, the first true casualty of the Epstein files. I don't think there are going to be any arrests or any prosecutions. Somebody posted a video of him mentioning to his class he was in the files. And the reason is, it's not just that he was in the files, but he was asking for advice from Epstein for how to cheat on his wife with a young girl. I don't think underage, but he was asking for advice for how to hook up with someone other than his wife, who is like somebody's daughter or something. So that's why. But he is like the first true casualty. And then we'll see what happens to like Reid Hoffman, who apparently was good friends with him.
Some of you will have seen my statement of regret.
It's too quiet. I'm not going to play it. I'll just tell you. He had to step down from everything. He was on the board of OpenAI. We don't know if the files are going to come out. I have videos about that, but we just don't know if they're going to release the files. So I don't think this video is that illuminating from having listened to it, but I'll play it. The tag on it is that it sounds like the DOJ isn't going to release the file, so you can listen and see.
Off topic. On the Epstein files, does the new investigation by the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney prevent the department from releasing all of the remaining files?
So we have released over 33,000 Epstein documents to the Hill, and we'll continue to follow the law and to have maximum transparency. Also, we will always encourage all victims to come forward.
So that's it. So people say that it sounds like they're going to follow the law. But the reason is they have an ongoing investigation now, supposedly, which they can use as an excuse not to release documents. So we'll see how it goes. I don't know. I don't trust Trump's DOJ one bit. I don't trust Pam Bondi. I don't trust Kash Patel. I don't trust Trump. So they could easily be destroying anything that incriminates people that they don't want to incriminate. Are we going to talk about Israel, or will we save it for another day? But since we're on the Epstein files, Chuck Schumer is going to fight for the Epstein files to come out. So I'll play you what a prominent Democrat is saying about it.
So the great news is now the House has passed it. The Senate has virtually passed it. It goes to the president's desk. I was going to say we have a lot more work to do. First, who knows how long the House will try to hold it. We should put pressure on Johnson to send it right over to us. Second, the president has said he'll sign it, but who the hell knows with him? He can change his mind on a whim. But third, and maybe most important, and I just had a meeting of 10 senators to discuss this, we got to make sure we get all of the Epstein files, all. They can't fuck around with this. They can't say, oh, we'll give you this, but there are legal reasons we can't give you that. And we are going to be pursuing them relentlessly to get everything. Because I don't trust this administration. I don't trust Bondi. I don't trust Kash Patel. I don't trust the president. And they could screw around with this. It'll be all of our jobs to be on them and make sure that we get everything. So the great news is...
So that's good from Chuck Schumer, who we don't like in general, but it's good to know that at least he says they're going to fight for everything to come out. And the Epstein victims came out and says they don't even need to redact their names, and they want to make sure everything comes out. A lot of people are asking, why won't the victims go ahead and say who it was? Well, it's because they could get sued. And they don't have much defense. That's all. Because it's so hard to prove what they're saying. They don't have photographs and stuff. And Virginia got sued by Dershowitz for saying something that probably really happened, but couldn't prove it. So ended up having to take back what she said. The reason nobody's saying it, none of the victims are saying the names, is because they would get sued. And they don't necessarily have a bunch of money to hire lawyers and stuff. And somebody could just sue them frivolously, even if it's true. And once again, the allegations are very hard to prove. But you can say it on the floor of Congress. So Thomas Massie and MTG have both said that they will, as a last resort, they'll say the names. And Thomas Massie has already alluded to individuals who are prominent. Thomas Massie already alluded to people in government, people in finance. And people are saying today that JP Morgan is heavily implicated because Epstein was one of their biggest clients. So okay, let's see. I don't know if I have enough time left to cover all of the Israel news. Someone mentioned Azapac, though. Let me play that video for you at least. And then we'll keep this around 2 hours. Thanks, everybody, for joining me. I appreciate you. Please support the show. either by going to our store at truthclothing.io, which is a banner going across the bottom or top of your screen the whole show. Truthclothing.io to pick out our closeout t-shirts, $10, $5, while we have them in stock. Or go to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil, or even better, sending Cash App at $LTV411. And we appreciate your support, and we use it for fuel for the show or to pay a machine to make the show better. So we appreciate it. The show is brought to you with, there is some cost to doing the show. And actually, eventually I need a new computer. I don't know if I'll ever be able to afford that, but it goes toward making the show good, even if it just means the coffee I drink when I'm trying to help my brain think about news and things to talk about. So I appreciate everybody who does that. Eventually, we'll try to bring super chats to the show, but we don't know if that's going to happen or not. And I'll read it. I'll read anybody who gives me a coffee before the show's over. But somebody mentioned Azapac. So I'll play you their ad. And I was going to mention a poll result here from Rasmussen. Once again, two-thirds of nights of data back. And when asked who they support more, Israel or Palestine, only 16% of Zoomers say Israel. So that's the generational divide. And I don't think there's the Zionist faction is in full panic mode because of this, but I think the youth are lost forever. I don't think there's anything the Zionists can do to win back the youth because they don't have the facts on their side, basically. But I also don't know if an anti-Zionist coalition necessarily is going to win either based on what they're going to be up against. But here is the first ad from Azapac, so you guys can decide. But I will play that for you.
The United States of America did not begin with a revolution against tyranny, only to serve a foreign nation state. But the fact is, our government acts like the servant of another country. That other country is, of course, the State of Israel. That's not policy. That's a national disgrace. I'm Michael Rechtenwald, founder of the Anti-Zionist America Political Action Committee, or AZAPAC. Let's cut to the chase, shall we? The U.S. government has been hijacked by forces loyal to Israel. Does Congress represent us? No. With rare exceptions, they work for Israel. These aren't your elected reps, they're puppets. And their strings are pulled by donors loyal to the modern nation state of Israel. This isn't an alliance, it's extortion. While we're scraping by, eggs at $6 a dozen, rent or mortgage devouring our paychecks, our leaders have funneled over $21 billion to Israel in 2 years, not counting the cost of U.S. engagements in the region at Israel's behest. The total cost to U.S. taxpayers in service of Israel is an estimated $33 billion since October 7th, 2023. That's on top of the $3.8 billion sent Israel every year. Billions that could fix our roads, billions that could fund our schools, billions that could house our veterans, billions that could ease your burden. But no, they fund endless Israeli aggression instead. Israel, the largest recipient of U.S. aid in history. Israel, the country that bombed the USS Liberty. Israel, the country using our weapons to mass murder innocents. 20,000 children to be exact. Gaza ripped off the mask. We all watched the live-streamed horrors. The money extorted from us funds crimes against humanity, what genocide scholars and dozens of humanitarian organizations call a genocide. This blind allegiance, this veto on our national sovereignty, this denial of reality must end. We've had more than enough. ASAPAC isn't here to beg. We're here to evict. We're backing warriors who spit in the face of this cabal. Jose Vega in New York, confronting the uniparty machine. He's challenging APAC darling Richie Torres. Mike Wilnaugh in Florida, an America-only patriot challenging Daniel Webster, a fossilized incumbent who serves everyone but the American people. Aaron Baker, also in Florida. He rejects APAC bribes and demands an end to the foreign aid grift. He's challenging the biggest Zionist of them all, Randy Fine.
Tucker Carlson is the most dangerous anti-Semite in America.
ASAPAC isn't a protest, it's a reclamation. America isn't a vassal state. We're no one's colony. We're not supposed to be an ATM and munitions depot for Israel. If you're done with the fear, done with our politicians taking bribes, done with being smeared with the anti-Semitic label just because you want your country back, then ASAPAC is your army. Head to azapac.com. That's AZA-PAC.com right now. Donate, volunteer, amplify, join the fight. Because we're not pleading for our country back. We're taking it.
Okay, there we go. So anyway, there's the ad for it. Playing on the popular belief. So anyway, just so you know, like the foreign aid, just to like put some reality on the foreign aid, which, yeah, I don't think like we shouldn't be buying them weapons because of the principle, because of what they use them for. I definitely agree with that. But the money itself is not going to fix our roads or pay for healthcare or any of those other things. And as a matter of like, really what we've lost from our alliance with Israel is the trillions that we spent on the wars in the Middle East, Afghanistan, and mostly Iraq. So that's really the money that really matters. And that's truly done by neocons kind of serving an Israeli motive. But I just did the math. If you take the 3.8 billion and distribute it to American adults over 18, they'd get $14 each. So it wouldn't go very far. And if we use it to control Israel and it actually works, then actually maybe it is worth it. If we can control Israel and stop them from being insane. But and actually it's all spent in America, the 3.8 billion. But the trillions we spent on wars at the behest of Israel is a big deal. And if you took I took the 33 billion too, that'd be $100 each, $123 each. So yeah, Parody Mike says 11 trillion on wars since 9/11. Yes. So there you go. That's where the real money goes. So all right, I can take your comments. I'll take a look to see if anybody gave me a coffee today. I hope you guys are enjoying the shorts okay. We're putting out shorts every 2 hours from the show. Somebody said, it's an interesting comment. Tim says, you have been live nearly 2 hours. Unfollow. That's an interesting comment, Tim. Why? Is it because you don't have an attention span? Or like some people go live all day. Some of the most biggest live streamers are live for like 24/7. At least I'm not like Vouch or some of those other characters on those other platforms. That's all right, Tim. You'll catch my shorts maybe. All right, let's check our coffees. Let's see if we got any today. Please, please, please. Let's see. Yes, Pete. No coffees today. Well, that's disappointing. Okay. Well, if you're still listening to the show and the show has ended, you can still donate. And actually, it costs a little money to bring you the show. So I appreciate it if you want to contribute. Go to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. And once again, I'll try to get my channel monetized once I'm able to reapply. So Sumi's good. We can engage with the chat for a few minutes. Haven't seen my channel since COVID-19 because that's when they deleted it. Sumi's good. Doshi's dead. Some people are looking for Doshi. He passed a while back, and we miss him. We have no pets right now. Someone asked if I'm still doing donut walks. I don't live near a donut shop anymore, so I don't do donut walks. I walk. I get coffee and cookies. And then I do research for the show. All right. If anybody else has any more comments, we have a few minutes left. All right. We'll wrap it up. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Good seeing you. Appreciate you. You know how to support the show. You know about our sale at our store, truthclothing.io. And we will be back with you tomorrow. We went early today because we're going to watch the football game. The Bills are playing the Texans, I think. I think it could be good. So we went a little early today. So Mondays and Thursdays, we might start at 3 instead of 4, my time. 6 instead of 7, East Coast. And we look forward to every one of our experiences with you. We appreciate you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a good night. And with that, that is what it is.